Guys, buckle your seatbelts because this is just absolutely absurd. We have officially entered the Twilight Zone, and I'm just praying right now that I can even make it through this whole video. So, Walmart Obama is at it again. Hakeem Jeffries is going to sit through this interview with Dana Bash and talk about the government shutdown and plus Donald Trump's decision to use ICE agents at the airports since the Democrats want to shut the government down. Now, I watched this whole video and it made my head want to explode. And I'm going to give you the black conservative perspective of some of the things that we are going to hear Temu Obama vomit out of his mouth as he stumbles and stammers and looks confused as Dana Bash, a CNN liberal Democrat-leaning reporter, busts his chops because even she knows that he's talking a bunch of nonsense. And then I'm going to even show you some statistics that are in direct contradiction with some of the nonsense. Oh man, I just can't. I can get through this. All right, we can do it. With some of the nonsense that you're going to hear him say, I'm going to show you some statistics just so you can see for yourself. So without further ado, let's jump on over to the interview. And once again, if you can make it through this whole thing, post in the end of the video. Let's see, what am I going to have you post? I survived, okay? And then give me your comments and your reaction to this. So I'm just going to play the video and I will pause it along the way. Don't get upset. This is a reaction video for the low IQ people who will say, you just talked through the whole thing. That's what this is. It's a reaction video. So you can get the black conservative perspective on the lunacy and the idiocy, some of the low IQ ideas that you're going to see coming from Walmart Obama's mouth. All right, here we go. Let's start.
We just heard from the White House about President Trump's plan to deploy ICE agents to airports tomorrow. I want to bring in House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. Thank you for being here this morning, sir. What's your response to what Tom Homan revealed here?
First off, I can't even get beyond the look on his face. Why does he look like Herman Munster? Like, okay, I had to say that. All right, let's hear what he has to say. Here we go.
Good morning, great to be with you. There are three things that have been true since Donald Trump and Republicans came back into power last January. Life is more expensive, life is more chaotic, and life is more extreme.
Okay, let me stop you right there. You're an idiot, and I'm going to show you some things that fly in the face of what you just said. Well, here, let me just show you one. I'll show you just one right here. Let's look at life is more expensive. Here is a chart from the reddit.com. This is grocery prices in the United States since 2019. U.S. grocery prices reached record highs in 2025. But why did that happen? Well, let's just look. Here is 2019. Here is 2020. Now, what happened in 2020 after this flat period? What change did we have in 2020? Now, here's 2021. What happens during 2021, but a complete explosion of grocery prices all the way through 2022, and it continues to go up and up and up. Now, we're one term in on a certain other person's presidency where they're trying to work on that. But where did the bulk of the increases come from? I'll let you answer that question yourself. Now, let's go back to the interview and let him continue on.
The last thing that the American people need are for untrained ICE agents to be deployed at airports all across the country, potentially to brutalize or in some instances kill them. We've already seen how...
Okay, you're an idiot. I'm so sure ICE agents are going to go to airports and start killing people. Oh my God, how can he even get away with saying something like that? So you want to shut down the government and let people stand in lines for TSA. They go for hours on end. But you're mad that Donald Trump is going to send ICE agents to help out. Well, that's interesting, but let's just continue on and let him talk. And why would he be mad about that? Because aren't you saying that you don't want ICE out in the street disappearing illegals? Snatching up families off the streets. If they're so bad, why are you against taking them off the streets, taking your dear illegals out of the country and putting them in the airports? I wonder. Well, let's continue on.
ICE conducts itself. These are untrained individuals when it comes to doing the current job that they have.
That's a lie. They are trained. Now, I said in the last video, there is a reason why ICE agents have less training than they ever did before. You want to guess what that reason is? Well, it's because the workload exploded. That's right. During 2020 and 2024, President Biden pulled 20 million illegals. He flooded the country with illegals. We've never had anything like this happen in the history of the United States. Now, do you think that we would be able to hire enough ICE agents to round up 20 million people while allowing them to go to the regular training process, through the regular training process? Or wouldn't it stand to reason that they would probably have to spend a whole lot less time on training because there's 20 million people that are in the United States that they've got to get out there and round up? I'll let you think about that, but let's continue on, Walmart Obama.
For the most part, let alone deploying them in close exposure in highly sensitive situations at airports across the country.
But it seems like it's happening. Tom Homan is in charge of it, and he's working on a plan right now. Is there any chance that there could be some kind of deal done soon? I mean, obviously, what the president is trying to do is squeeze lawmakers to try to finally come up with a plan to fund DHS.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Republicans have decided that they would rather force TSA agents to work without pay, inconvenience millions of Americans all across.
Oh, good God. Let me stop you there, Walmart Obama. It's not the Republicans that are forcing the TSA agents not to be paid. It's the Democrats. You guys are the ones using TSA, holding them hostage and not allowing them to get paid so you can force the hand of the Republicans to do something completely unrelated, which is take funding away from ICE, which we're going to get to that point because that's stupid. And we'll let you continue on here.
Across the country and now potentially expose them to untrained ICE agents and create chaos at airports throughout the land rather than get ICE agents under control.
You idiot. There's already chaos at airports. Why? It's because you guys won't pass the budget. Holy mackerel.
Our basic premise and value proposition from the very beginning has been simple. ICE should conduct itself like every other law enforcement agency in the country. But if Republicans are unwilling to get to an agreement in that regard, the one thing we can do immediately are to make sure that TSA agents are paid.
Okay, let me stop you there. ICE agents are doing their job, and they do conduct themselves like every other law enforcement agency. The reason why it gets chaotic is because you Democrats, you dum-dums in your blue sanctuary states don't hold the violent illegals at the jails when they are arrested. It's a revolving door. They turn them back out into the streets. They're supposed to hold them and allow the ICE agents to come and detain them and deport them. They're supposed to pick them up at the jail facility. But because you Democrats want your illegals, because you're trying to get votes and increase the population, you're turning them loose back out into the streets. That's where the chaos comes in, because the ICE agents have to chase your constituents down in the streets. I'll let you continue.
We know, Dana, there's bipartisan support for that. Senator Ted Cruz and Senator John Kennedy have recently indicated that they would support moving in that direction. Let's bring those bills to the floor in the House and the Senate tomorrow so we can get TSA agents paid.
Yeah, right.
So let me ask you about that, because you are the whole reason, as you just laid out, that DHS is not funded right now is because you're trying to push the administration to enact some policy changes on how Border Patrol and ICE act when they are out looking for illegal immigrants. And now what you're saying is that you're okay with funding TSA, which has been, I think, the biggest point of leverage that you possibly had in order to get what you want on ICE, because ICE already has its money. So what was the point of this shutdown if you're okay with funding TSA?
Well, we never approach these things that are in front of us with respect to government funding in the context of leverage. Our approach is, what is the appropriate use of taxpayer dollars? And we believe that taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable.
Okay, first of all, make life more affordable. What's that got to do with the topic at hand? That has nothing to do with the topic. You were just saying that you want ICE defunded so you can change the way they do business because they're out creating chaos in the streets. Now you're saying that the reason is that you want to make life more affordable? What the entire hell are you talking about? Furthermore, when you shut down the entire agency, okay, you're not going to make a single change of what you want because ICE is funded through the big, beautiful bill. Now, let me tell you something. Let me tell you what makes up the Department of Homeland Security, Temu Obama, since you obviously don't know. Here are the agencies. It's U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP. It's U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. It's Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. It's the Transportation Security Administration, TSA. It's the U.S. Secret Service and the U.S. Coast Guard. So you want to shut all that down because you're not getting your way, because the ICE agents are disappearing people and causing chaos in the streets. So we'll shut down the entire DHS, right? And while you shut them down, while everyone isn't getting a paycheck, ICE is still getting paid because they're funded by the big, beautiful bill, you big, beautiful moron. Now, let's let you continue on and then let you continue getting off topic talking about affordability
for the American people, not brutalize or kill them or violently.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm going to have to go back. Let's talk more about this affordability lie. Let me show you something else. Let's look here and see what's on the screen. This comes from the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Petroleum and other liquids, price of gas. All right, look at this chart. 2015 right here, 2016 right here. Who was the president? Let's go from 2016 all the way to 2020. Look at that. What do you see here? 2020. Look at that big dip. Now, who stepped into the White House in 2020? And what happened to the price of petroleum and other liquid? Huh? Oh, would you look at that? We've got a spike. It goes straight up into the air, peaking out in 2022. Then it comes down, then it jumps back up again, comes down, jumps up yet again. 2024, who's in office in 2024? I wonder who comes in right there. And look at gas prices. It's lower than this entire period after a certain bill exploded prices all throughout the United States economy. But you're talking about affordability. Now, let's let it make the next stupid point, and then I'll refute that with some more factual information.
Make life more affordable for the American people, not brutalize or kill them or violently target law-abiding immigrant families, which is what we know ICE agents have been doing. And so
you're an idiot. A complete idiot. Now, I'm going to wait before I show you the next statistic. I'm going to let him carry on when he mentions two specific people. Then I'll show you a bit of data that's going to just slap him right in the face and make him look like the moron that he is. Continue on.
So at this point in time, more than 30 days in to the Trump Republican Department of Homeland Security shutdown, I think the most appropriate course of action is to fund TSA, fund FEMA, fund the Coast Guard, fund our cybersecurity professionals so that, Republicans stop holding the American people hostage and these hardworking civil servants because of the Republican unwillingness, at least to date, to get ICE under control.
Now, isn't that interesting how he flips it? The Democrats shut the government down because they want to get their way in eliminating ICE and changing everything the way that ICE agents behave out in the streets and getting rid of the chaos. Meanwhile, they'll still get their money, and that change will not happen because, like I said, they're funded by the big, beautiful bill. But notice how he flipped it. So the Democrats are holding the entire Department of Homeland Security hostage, not letting them receive paychecks so that they can twist people's arms and try to make changes at ICE, which won't happen because they're already funded. Holy mackerel. What the entire F is going on here?
Listen, we believe that immigration enforcement in this country should be fair, just, and humane. And Donald Trump promised that he was going to go after the worst of the worst, violent felons who are here illegally. That's not what has been happening. They're targeting American citizens.
Lie. That's a lie. They're not targeting American citizens. They're targeting the 20 million people you idiots let into the country between 2020 and 2024. He made a promise. He's doing his job. We want them out of here, Mr. Jeffries.
And law-abiding immigrant families. And of course that needs to end.
And they're not law-abiding immigrant families. They are illegals.
That is not an appropriate use of taxpayer dollars.
Yes, it is.
I'm just trying to understand how, if you fund TSA and the other agencies that you just talked about, how you think that you will be able to put pressure then on the administration to make the changes to ICE that you're asking for.
Listen to this. This is great.
The American people are going to continue to put pressure.
You idiot. The American people are going to continue to put the pressure. You complete idiot. So you just admitted that by shutting down the government, it will have zero effect because you're saying it's going to take the American people to put the pressure on. Wow. What an admission.
On the administration, because they know ICE is out of control. They need to be reined in. And our view is that they should not get another dime of taxpayer dollars until we have bold and dramatic and meaningful changes to ICE's behavior so that they are compelled to behave like every other law enforcement agency in the country.
You idiot. We already mentioned they're still going to get their money. They're already funded.
Includes making sure that there are judicial warrants that are required before ICE agents can rip the American people out of their homes in the middle of the night.
Another bald-faced lie. They're not ripping American families out of their homes. They're illegals, and they're taking them off of the streets. He should be arrested and jailed for making this stuff up. How do they get away with it? Who's believing this? Do you believe what this man is saying? Do you believe this stuff? Post in the comments if you believe these lies that he's telling right now. Well, let me let him continue.
We need to protect sensitive locations like houses of worship and hospitals and schools and polling sites. We need
That was the biggest whopper of all. You need to protect houses of worship? Do you remember what happened in Minneapolis at the church? Who did that? Who was behind that? Do we need to get into that? There's another example of how he reverses everything. He just switches the narrative and takes things that they do and then magically blames it on the other side. Holy smokes. Wow. Okay, continue. I can do this.
independent investigation so that if ICE agents break the law, they can be investigated and criminally prosecuted by state and local authorities. We need to make sure that they are trained properly, that there are excessive use of force policies that are put into place, that we have independent access to detention centers. These are all common sense, reasonable things that the American people are appropriately demanding, and we're not going to back away from them.
Meanwhile, with regard to the war in Iran, the Pentagon is talking about asking the White House to approve a request to ask Congress for over $200 billion to fund the Iran war. Now, this is two sources familiar with the matter that tell CNN this. Is there any world in which you would support any more money for the Pentagon for this war?
Listen, the Department of Defense, Donald Trump, and Republicans haven't even made the case for why we are in this reckless war of choice right now to the American people. They've got no vision, no plan, no exit strategy. They clearly didn't anticipate some of the things that have happened, including the closure of the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay, that was bull crap. I'm going to do another video. He's using a line from Kamala Harris. This is the latest cliche, nonsense, bull crap line that the Democrats have been using. Okay, funny how he's all against this war in Iran, which is going to basically give us control over gas prices for the first time in 45 years. But he was all in a few years ago when it came to giving $200 billion of American taxpayer money to fight a war against Russia, sending munitions and people, and U.S. troops were there training the Ukrainians. He was all for spending $200 billion and shipping that off to the Ukraine. But no, we shouldn't even be, we have no reason to be in Iran, not at all. Now, I'm going to let you continue here, Mr. Temu Obama, and we will address the whole war topic on another video. So let's continue.
What you're seeing right now are gas prices are through the roof, and that's adding to an environment in America right now where life has already become too expensive. Adding to an environment in America right now where life has already become too expensive for the American people because of failed policies by...
He said gas prices going through the roof. We already addressed that.
Donald Trump, including but not limited to the Trump tariffs, which have increased costs on everyday Americans by thousands of dollars per year.
Lie. You're an idiot. You're a freaking liar. Okay? The tariffs are not causing price increases. I buy stuff on Amazon every day, and the prices on the tools and the equipment that I buy in my body shop, I own a body shop, and the stuff that I buy for my house, the stuff that I use on an everyday basis, the prices have been coming down, not going up. And I can prove that and show you a lot of stuff that comes from China that has dropped in price. So that is a bald-faced, low IQ lie right there. Let's continue on.
Yeah. We should not be spending billions of dollars per day at this point in time to drop bombs in the Middle East when Republicans are unwilling to spend a dime to actually extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits and make sure that Americans to actually bombs in the Middle East when Republicans are unwilling to spend a dime to actually extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
Okay, I'm going to do another video and expose the bull crap that just fell out of his mouth. It was a big turd. It was a big chunk of cow manure. He just said that we should still be spending money on the Affordable Care Act that did not work, that has exploded healthcare costs and has made the corporations rich, filthy, stinking rich. I will explain that in a different video. I will back away from that point and leave that for later. Post in the comments if you want me to explain in another video what I just said. Let's continue.
And make sure that Americans can go see a doctor when they need one.
Is there something
and
that...
so is
this something that...
It's a priority
if it comes up before the House, you will whip, meaning will you urge your fellow Democrats to vote no on any funding, or will you allow them to vote their conscience?
Well, we'll have that leadership conversation when we actually have a piece of legislation that is in front of us. But I can tell you, there is strong opposition right now to the notion that this war of choice that is reckless, that's costing the American people now more than $30 billion, should continue. We need to move, which we plan on doing in short order, a war powers resolution so we can bring the situation to a close.
Blah, blah,
I want to ask you before I let you go about something the president just put on Truth Social this morning. He said, now with the death of Iran, the greatest enemy America has is the radical left, highly incompetent Democratic Party. Your response?
Donald Trump should keep his reckless mouth shut before he gets somebody killed.
Oh my God, before he gets somebody killed. Okay, one more point. I forgot to refute one more thing. He talked about Alex Pretty and then the poet lady, the two people killed, murdered by ICE agents, and it's out of control and they're killing people in the streets and American citizens are dying and it's catastrophic. Two people, two idiots who should not have been in the middle of law enforcement activity, but we won't even get into that. Two people 2 people. Now, let's just look at some facts here. You know how many police officers, law enforcement officials lost their lives last year? Let's just look. Here we go. In 2025, 111 law officers lost their lives. And that was the lowest in 80 years because it was 25% higher the previous year. 111 law officers lost their lives. But you're yammering on about 2 radical protesters that jumped in the middle of arrest attempts. Blocking streets, kicking the backlights off of cars, spitting, fighting, and bringing guns in the middle of ICE activities, right? 2 people, okay? But we don't see anything about the 111 people that lost their lives defending us to make our lives safer. And let's just compare 2 people to the leading causes of death coming from the National Center for Health Statistics. Let's look at some of these numbers. Heart disease, 683,491. Cancer, 619,876. Accidents, 197,449. Stroke, 166,852. Chronic lower respiratory diseases, 145,643. Alzheimer's, 116,022. Diabetes, 94,445. I might mention that we are in an obesity epidemic in this country, and diabetes is the cause. Nephritis, nephrotic syndrome, and nephrosis, 55,081. Chronic liver disease and cirrhosis of the liver, 52,274. That's alcohol. We won't even get into DWI, alcohol driving while intoxicated related deaths. And then suicide, 48,824. But you are trying to tell us that we are supposed to be shaking in our shoes because ICE is out there killing American citizens. Now, I just gave you over 1 million deaths that occurred in the United States from these various different sources. But we're supposed to panic because Hakeem the Dream, Temu Obama, says that 2 people lost their lives at the hands of ICE agents. Oh my God. I tell you what, this will probably continue. I want you to post in the comments. Let me know what you think about the black conservative perspective on his stupid ideas and the government shutdown. And also let me know what your thoughts are about ICE agents showing up at airports. Are you afraid? Do you think that you're not going to be able to go to the airport without getting shot and killed because ICE agents are there? Post it in the comments. I'm curious to know. I really, really want to know. Well, guys, thanks for watching. And you remember what to post. If you made it all the way, you know what to post in the comments because you are the real champions. This is Carlton. I'm out.